Hello, this is my skull resubmission video. The first thing I'm going to do is go over the bones. This bone right here is going to be your frontal bone. The two bones right here are going to be your parietal bones. You then have your temporal bone, which is right here. This is going to be your sphenoid bone, which you can see on the lateral view. This bone right here is going to be your occipital bone. You then have your nasal bone, which is right here. Your vomer, which is right here. This is your maxilla and your mandible. And this is your palatine bone. The next thing I'm going to do is go over various landmarks of the skull. The first landmark we have is going to be the suture that connects the frontal bone to the parietal bones, which is going to be right here. It's known as the coronal suture. The suture that's right here that connects the two parietal bones is known as the sagittal suture. The suture that it connects the temporal bone to the parietal bone is known as the squamous suture, and it is right here. You have a suture connecting the occipital bone to the parietal bones, and it's the lambdoid suture, which is right here. On the mandible, you have the mandibular ramus, which is going to be right here. This area right here is going to be the mandibular notch. This is the coronoid process of the mandible. And this is the mandibular condyle. You also have the mental foramen, which is right here. This bone right here is going to be your zygomatic bone. This bone right here is going to be your ethmoid bone. Beside that is going to be your lacrimal bone, and beside that is going to be your nasolacrimal bone. Within the eye orbit, the upper hole right here is going to be your supraorbital foramen, and this is going to be your infraorbital foramen. Then you have the supraorbital fissure, and you have the inferior orbital fissure. So superior orbital fissure, inferior orbital fissure. Then you have the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone, which is going to be right here. Then you have your middle conch and your inferior conch. Then you have the anterior nasal spine, which is right here. The external auditory meatus, which is right here. The glabella, which is right here. And now we have to open. Okay. 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 Now you have the foramen ovale, which is right here. Then you have the foramen lacrimum and the foramen spinosum. So lacrimum, ovale, and spinosum are all in this area. This area right here is going to be your foramen rotundum, which are right here. This right here is going to be your jugular foramen and your carotid canal. Underneath the spring up here is going to be your incisive fossa, which is going to be right here. This area here is going to be your greater palatine foramen, which is going to be this area right here. This area right here is going to be your foramen magnum, which is right here. Right here you have the mastoid process of the skull. This one right here is going to be your styloid process. In between them, right there, is going to be your styloid mastoid foramen. Then you have the cribriform palate right here, and the crystal galli. On the sphenoid bone, you have the greater wing of the sphenoid, and the lesser wing of the sphenoid, and the sella tertia. And also you have the internal auditory meatus, which is right here. And that is the bones and landmarks of the skull. Thank you.